Welcome back students, class 7th. In the next lecture, to earlier we had discussed on the topic of compound sentence, and today we have complex sentence. Let us begin. What is complex sentence, what its meaning, and how it is used in a sentences, and also how to identify whether the given sentences, either it is simple sentence, compound sentence, or a complex sentence. So these two sentences we had discussed already, and I hope that you understood about the simple sentence, compound sentence. And today we have the last topic, that is complex sentence. So let us begin the complex sentence. So first we will understand what do you mean by complex sentence. So complex sentence, a sentence which has a principal clause, main clause, or independent clause. This independent clause, main clause, these two, independent and main clause, is referring to principal clause. Either we can say in the sentences independent clause or a main clause or principal clause. So three of them is the same, that are referring to a same sentences. So later on I will make you understand. Or along with one or more dependent clause is called a complex sentence. जहां प्रिंसिपल क्लॉज है वहां प्रिंसिपल क्लॉज को हम लोग वी कैन से मेन क्लॉज भी बोल सकते हैं, या इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज भी प्रिंसिपल क्लॉज को हम लोग बोल सकते हैं. तो इनके साथ साथ वेयर देयर इज दिस टाइप ऑफ प्रिंसिपल क्लॉजेस in a sentence, when it is come, whenever it is come, there will be उसके साथ along with one more sentence, after that one more sentence will come. So that sentence we will call dependent clause. तो उस clauses को हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं, dependent clause. और ये दोनों clauses को मिलकर हम लोग इसको complex sentence कहते हैं. So at first we have to understand what is principal clause. Then only it will be easy to understand. Okay. So let us understand principal clause. Principal clause that makes sense of its own. तो principal clause उसे बोलते हैं जो कि main clause को ही बोला जाता है. तो principal clause, it means that it makes a complete sense. तो ये complete sense बनाता है, इसको समझने में एकदम पूरी तरह से समझ में आ जाता है. तो that's why it is also called a independent clause. यानी कि ये किसी दूसरे सेंटेंस में निर्भर नहीं रहता है. So that's why we can say that principal clause that makes a sense of its own. Next one, subordinate clause. It means that does not make sense on its own. Subordinate clause उसको बोला जाता है जो कि दूसरे पर निर्भर है, जो कि अपना it does not makes a complete sense. It makes a incomplete sense. So that's why it depends on principal clause, or we can say that independent clause. तो इसीलिए subordinate clause को हम लोग dependent clause बोलते हैं. और इसके साथ dependent clause के साथ if connecting word, these two sentences, principal clause and independent clause, आपस में एक कनेक्टर वर्ड से जुड़ते हैं. जिसे हम लोग सबऑर्डिनेटर बोलते हैं। तो यही सबऑर्डिनेटर जो दीज टू सेंटेंस को जोड़ने का काम करता है, तो उसको हम लोग सबऑर्डिनेटर बोलते हैं। और ये ड्यू टू सबऑर्डिनेटर along with independent clause together is called a subordinating clause। तो ये दोनों जब आपस में जुड़ जाते हैं तब इसको सबऑर्डिनेटिंग क्लॉज बोलते हैं। और यही सबऑर्डिनेटिंग क्लॉज ये पूरे सेंटेंस को मिलाकर हम लोग इसको कॉम्प्लेक्स सेंटेंस कहते हैं। तो here we can say sentence structure what it will be। sentence structure कैसा होगा, ऐसा होगा प्रिंसिपल क्लॉज जो मेन क्लॉज है जिसे हम लोग इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज बोलते हैं, उसके साथ प्लस ये सेंटेंस डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज के साथ जुड़ जाता है। तो इसमें जुड़ने वाला सेंटेंस सबऑर्डिनेटर कहलाता है। तो सबऑर्डिनेटर प्लस डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज जब ये आपस में जुड़ जाते हैं, ये सेंटेंस इसके साथ सबऑर्डिनेटर के साथ जब जुड़ जाता है, तो ये बाकी सारे डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज और सबऑर्डिनेटर को मिलाकर ऑल टुगेदर इट बिकम्स अ सबऑर्डिनेट क्लॉज। तो इसको हम लोग सबऑर्डिनेट क्लॉज बोलते हैं, जिसे हम लोग एट लास्ट वी से complex sentence। So this is the sentence structure। Through these we can identify this is a complex sentence। So we have to follow this sentence structure, then we will easy to identify whether the given sentence either complex sentence or a compound sentence। So we will see some of the example। Through that example we can understand more what the complex sentence, how it is formed or how it can be identified। By some of the example we can understand। So let us begin with some of the example। Okay students, now we have some of the examples that I have written on the board। So listen very carefully and just watch the sentences of each words, how it is going to be need to be a little bit care to understand। So here the train has arrived। The train has arrived, this is a sentence। First sentence, the train has arrived। So it is a principal clause, it's a principal clause, or we can say that independent clause or main clause also you can see। तो principal clause why it is, because it makes a सेंस ऑफ इट्स ओन। ये खुद से एक मतलब समझ में बन के आ रहा है, कंप्लीट मतलब बन के बनता है। द ट्रेन हैज अराइव्ड, यानी कि ट्रेन पहुंच चुका है। इट मेक्स अ कंप्लीट सेंस, दैट्स व्हाई इट इज कॉल्ड अ प्रिंसिपल क्लॉज। नाउ अनदर वी हैव सेंटेंस, आई रीच द स्टेशन। हियर आई रीच द स्टेशन, दिस इज अ डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज। Why it is dependent clause? Because it makes a sense but not complete। ये मतलब तो बता रहा है, मतलब तो बन रहा है लेकिन पूरी तरह नहीं। I reach the station, मैं स्टेशन में पहुंचा। तो स्टेशन में पहुंचा तो क्या, तो that's why this sentence depend on principal clause। इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज पर ये सेंटेंस डिपेंड करता है, दैट्स व्हाई इट इज अ डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज। सो दीज टू सेंटेंसेस आर जॉइंड बाय विद दिस बिफोर, एंड बिफोर इज अ सबऑर्डिनेटर। तो ये सबऑर्डिनेटर है जिससे कि ये दो सेंटेंस को जोड़ने का काम कर रहा है। तो दैट्स व्हाई सबऑर्डिनेटर प्लस डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज, ये आपस में मिलकर इसको क्या बोल सकते हैं हम लोग, सबऑर्डिनेटिंग क्लॉज भी बोल सकते हैं. So now this subordinating clause is called a complex sentence. Have a look second example. Jaipur, which is commonly known as the Pink City, is well connected with Delhi and Agra. So here we have principal clause. Jaipur is well connected with Delhi and Agra. It makes a complete sense. So it's a principal clause. Jaipur is well connected with Delhi and Agra. It's a principal clause. ये एक principal clause है और it makes a complete sense. So it reflects a complete sense. And whereas which is commonly known as the Pink City. अब here which is another sentence. So which is commonly known as Pink City, it makes a incomplete sense. So it is a independent. ये क्या है, एक independent clause है. और ये which is a connector. This is a subordinator. Subordinator. Therefore, it is a independent. It's an independent clause, so it depends on this main sentence, that is Jaipur is well connected with Delhi and Agra. If we read like this, which is commonly known as the Pink City, which is कौन सा commonly मुख्य रूप से जाना जाता है पिंक सिटी के रूप में, तो इससे हम लोग को क्या पता चलता है, इट कन्वेइंग अ इनकम्प्लीट सेंस. सो क्या जाना जाता है, दैट इज जयपुर. जयपुर इज कॉमनली नोन एज द पिंक सिटी. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी कैन से दैट इंडिपेंडेंट, दिस इज इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज दैट डिपेंड ऑन मेन क्लॉज. सो हियर these two sentences connected by which word, so it is called a subordinator. And therefore subordinator and independent clause together is called a subordinating clause, which is called complex sentence. So have a look third example. The train had left. This is principal clause, which is called main clause, like I said, principal clause. And another one, we reached the station. It's a independent, dependent clause. It's a dependent, and here we have these two sentences is get connected by when, which is called subordinator. And subordinator together with dependent clause becomes a complex sentence, which is also called subordinating clause. So I know the boy. Let us see one more example. I know the boy. मैं उस लड़के को जानता हूं. तो it reflects a complete sense. Principal clause, that is main clause also, or we can say that independent clause. Another one, who was sitting beside you. Sitting beside you. Was sitting beside you. Who was sitting. Who was sitting. Who is denoting this boy. So we can say that it is depending on this principal clause. That's why who is a subordinator, and was sitting beside, it is a dependent clause, and together it becomes a subordinating clause, which is called complex sentence. So we can see here who, when, which, before. These all are the subordinator. So there is easy way to identify subordinating clause. Start from such words. WH वर्ड से शुरू होता है जिसमें कि what, when, which, why, whenever, wherever, whether. So these are the subordinating clause. Subordinator, that means WH words which connect the two sentences. There are more: if, as, because, while, since, because, etc. There are so many subordinator words that connect the two sentences. Independent clause as independent clause with dependent clause. Dependent, that means dependent clause connected with independent clause. So these are the examples that I have recently made you understand. So I hope that you understood. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye. But before to go, there is a homework. So let me tell you the homework that you can see in your grammar book, page number 158. There is only exercise 158, and F, below F there is a homework for you all, page number 158. Just do this, try it once, and submit me homework in the next in my on my WhatsApp. Till then, goodbye, take care. I will bring you next video of new topic. Have a good day.